안녕하세요. 반갑습니다. 저는 Matthias Kolle입니다. 서울에서 살고 합니다. 그리고 몇 년 전부터 저는 한국을 많이 살아요. 그런데 지금까지 저는 한국어를 죄송합니다. So I will continue in English. It's easier for you. The problem is not to talk in Korean. The problem is to find Korean people who are patient enough to listen to slow Korean. I got the question to introduce you to German garden show. I think many of you already know German garden shows. We have a long tradition. And I will focus on some aspects. One is a changed role of garden shows in Germany. The changed role of garden shows in Germany. Second is I will talk about expectations of different views. And we have to talk about money. We already learned this morning that money is a very important role when we talk about conversation or long-term nature projects in urban planning. So I want to start with I want to start with this picture. Maybe you ask yourself why I'm starting with this picture, but I think it really is a similar situation we have with garden shows. I see garden shows as a topic for long-term parks and gardens and landscape planning. And when people go into Paris Baguette and ask for or looking for a cake, they have to choose, or they will choose, the cake regarding the topping, and they don't really think about the layers inside or the fillings and the work which is connected to this cake. They are first focused on topping. And you can see this here when we ask visitors of German garden shows, what are you interested in? It's quite easy. They want to see plants, they want to see colorful plantings, and they want to have an attractive event program. But as landscape architects, so that is the first important note, as landscape architects or everyone who deals with planning and landscaping, he knows that landscape architecture is a lot more, and even at this time there are more aspects to regard climate change, biodiversity, but landscape architects are used to deal with that. I will concentrate on some of them because these are in Germany connected with money. Money we need to make a garden show, money we need to make a long-term landscape. A short overview over garden shows in Germany. The first garden show was in 1895 in Dresden, and this is 1897 in Leipzig. And you see it's an indoor show. People were interested in exotic plants. It was just for amusement. 1890, the first banana came to Germany. So you have an imagination what was this about. People wanted to see exotic, colorful new things, and I make a big step. This is 1973, Hamburg, and you see the garden show moved from inside, from pure flower show to a city center urban planning project. And it has had several reasons. You can see when you see the cities who made garden shows in the 1950s. It was Hanover, Hamburg, Kassel, Köln, all cities which were nearly destroyed in the Second World War, which nearly didn't have any city center anymore. So the first plannings, the first garden shows in this new format in the 1950s were really to solve these urban planning issues in Germany, which was nearly destroyed after the Second World War. But you see also that there are nearly all bigger German cities nowadays involved in this garden show topic, because every city has some issues in their urban planning. I will tell you something about how they solve this, because it's the German way is a cheap way for cities to solve urban issues in the city. The UGA is Bundesgartenschau, the federal garden show, and IGA is international garden show. It's nearly the same, a little bit different from the program. Bundesgartenschau is every 2 years, IGA is every 10 years, and the name is owned by DBG, Deutsche Bundesgartenschau Gesellschaft, and this company, so it's more or less a private company, is owned by the German nurseries and the German landscape construction companies and the German horticultural association. So these three associations own the name Bundesgartenschau Gesellschaft, and like in Olympic Games, they give the license to be host city for Bundesgartenschau to German cities. They have to apply with a like master plan, with a concept, with a financial plan, and so the stakeholders are different in the cities and in the from the business side. I will start with the business side, professional organizations. We heard that the name Bundesgartenschau is owned by these professional organizations. So we have construction, industry, nurseries, horticultural business, home and garden business, and we have these political administrations, and we have the public as stakeholders. And all of them have these different expectations into the garden shows, and it doesn't really match to the expectations of the visitors. Doesn't really match to the expectation of the visitors, as we learned before. The expectations of the professional organizations are quite simple. They want to demonstrate their performance, they want to promote their profession, they want to show their products maybe. The second, politics and administration. I think it's obvious when you are elected for leading a city, then you are responsible to create political programs and goals, and so these expectations are different. We have this ecological renovation, we have conservation of military and industrial remains still, and we have reconstruction goals, but also simply urban city development goals like new infrastructures, and in the last 20 years more and more nature protection and conservation topics. A completely new topic is environmental education. It became more and more important in the last 10 years, and it's now part The third group of stakeholders, I think we already talked a lot about the public or the importance of the public in planning progress. Usually the local public want to keep the situation. They don't want to have any changes. There are some specialists in these local groups which are educated enough to who are educated in their specific role enough to name goals for better ecological situation and to improve the living environment. But generally, the public is very careful about new parks and new garden shows in their near. So, it's opposite to the visitors' expectation. The public administration expects the implementation of their political programs, mostly tourism, conservation, or development. I want to show 3 examples. It's Berlin 2017, which I had the chance to be head of the garden show. Then Erfurt 2021 and Mannheim 2023. You see a second or third city, Rostock 2025. They had to withdraw their application, so there will not be any Bundesgartenschau in Rostock 2025. In my opinion, it was not a budget problem. It was communicated that it was a budget problem, but I think the goals that the city had were not matching the goals the garden show has. It's very simple. They wanted to create a new city harbor, and they wanted to build a new city bridge. It's not really a garden show topic. You can combine, and as we learned, all cities do like that. But we have the problem that public administration usually don't work in the same speed as we work when we create a garden show. It's really a problem. So we are working in a different frequency, and at a certain point they have to admit that their projects for a new city harbor will not match into the timetable of a garden show. So that was the reason. It was a budget problem too, but the main reason was the goals were a little bit too big for us. So, first sample, IGA in Berlin, 2017. I mentioned again the goals of this garden show, as we heard before. Erfurt, it was a garden show city center, a little bit smaller. And Mannheim, the last one, UGA 2023. I'm still busy with parts of UGA 2023. Some parts were not finished in time, but it doesn't matter. Usually the visitor of a garden show don't realize what was not ready in time because it's not there. Simple. Those garden plans, just to give you an image of this site. So a little chart which shows the different sizes. The sizes usually are about 100 hectares. Erfurt 2021 was a little bit smaller because it was concentrated in city center and uses a lot of existing structures. The costs I wrote in 1-2. It's 131 in Berlin and 105 million euro in Mannheim. Erfurt again was a little bit cheaper. And you see the number of visitors. It's not really connected to the size or to the costs, but there are many effects on the numbers of visitors, and maybe it should not be the aspect we have to regard too much. Berlin has a lot of competitors in garden event in summer, so it's difficult to get visitors to a garden show. It's easier maybe in Erfurt, where the garden show is the only event in the summer. So it's always difficult to compare this numbers of visitors. Now we are coming to the most important part. That's the cost plan of this 131 million euro, and only 40 million are used for the event. So when you look on a garden event in a park, you have to spend 40 million. The numbers are nearly the same in all garden shows. You have to spend 40 million for preparation, marketing costs, operation, the planned exhibitions and events and little adjustments in traffic. But these 40 million don't include any construction side. We always divide into event, budget and construction side, which is long lasting. So, and this 40 million, there's another chart, this is Mannheim. You see, same 39 million, mostly spent for exhibition and stuff. All the things what you need, even financing, temporary buildings, all these temporary, what for one season needed things. And when we look into the revenues, what are we able to earn with a garden show? You will find nearly the same number, 30 billion euro. And you see that it's nearly not possible to create a park in that size only with entrance fees or merchandising. So we have to look for other. So the revenue of a German garden show only covers the cost of the event, not for the long-term construction measures. And in our context today, we are talking mainly about the long-term construction measures, which have an effect on the city. So we have to look for other resources for money, and Germany or Europe is quite good equipped for that, and that makes it really cheap for cities. So we saw this gap of nearly 10 million euro. That is nearly the risk what a city has to cover the difference between the cost of the event and the revenues from the entrance fees. All the other things, the construction measures, we try to cover with funds. So we have one fund for regional development. We have one fund for urban development, mobility funding. You will see we have this roadways as a new way for urban transportation. So mobility funding, tourism funds are important, and we also have European funds. And the art of a landscape architect is not really work for a landscape architect, but it's the task for someone who deals with garden shows, is to find the right funds, the right grants to finance pieces of this long-term measures. State and city budget, you can see, yeah. And sponsorships are maybe a little bit more difficult than sponsorships in Korea. We are not really allowed to take money from private companies. When we do that, we have to find a way first to make sure transparency, make sure that there's a competition. So we have to allow all companies to take part on this. So we are not allowed to take only money from Hyundai or Samsung. We have to ask all and this is a procedure which nearly lasts 1 year, so it's quite difficult. But we did, in Berlin, we did with the roadway, because we earned 1 million. So, but the most important things are on the right side. When you work with funds, you are on requirements which are really necessary, and you will not find a way to avoid these. The second point is the need must be proven. The first point we already heard, all these funds following political goals and concepts. I think that is normal, that's how it should be. But second point, there already started problems with garden shows. It's difficult to prove the need of a tulip plant, or it's difficult to prove the need of an art event. So we will not get money for events like this, for temporary plantings from public funds. The third point is the most important. Usually all funds have to be permanently at least 15 years. So when we build with public money, we have to make sure that everything is at least 15 years in the site in the same status, and we have to repair if it gets any damage. So every construction which is made with this funded money has to be there at least for 15 years. The other things, maybe the point in the middle, public participation, I already talked about. It's one of the requirements when you want to get public money. You have to create processes for structures and procedures to let people participate on this progress. And you can imagine when you have to design or have to make a garden show, it's really difficult to implement all people, but we have to. And nowadays we are used to. We have these instruments nowadays. Research, documentation, it's a lot of work when you want to get this money, but like I said, you see the blue part, when you want to have this blue part get paid by governmental money, not from the city of Germany, then you have to do all this. So this is part of this process. We followed a political program to take the tourism out of the city center in Berlin. That is a sample from Berlin. So we choose one side in Berlin-Hellersdorf, in the former East, still in the East, but former East Germany. And like a sample that we are following political programs. When you have the site, there's a lot of work with studies, botanical surveys, habitat mapping, because we are working on the long-term program. So it's the same site for the garden show, but we are working for the long-term goals. That's a sample for Mannheim. On the left side, you see a survey of West and East. In the middle, it's a mapping of all beds in the area. On the right side, it's a part of the permission. It's 225 pages, and it's only one bridge in this. Usually, garden shows don't have to have a permission, but everything inside, like buildings or infrastructure, have to have a permission. And you can imagine this permission took 1 year alone, so it's a lot of work, but it's worse because it's kind of cheap money you will get. When you have all permissions, you can start with these goals you are funded for. So soil health, that's a sample in Berlin. We took off 4 meters of soil because it was partly poisoned with chemical stuff, and still in Germany, homes and mines everywhere. And so we could make sure for the future that the soil in this area is healthy and that was part of that. Second is we had to make concepts for retention and infiltration. It was not allowed before in Germany. I think in Asia it's quite common to use trees, spaces as tree trenches for retention of water. But we showed this the first time on the garden show, so it's kind of showcase all the time garden shows. Last but not least, you have concept to be done, and we found this concept to integrate all these needed requirements which were given us from the Fördermittelgeber, from the administration who have the funds, who have the control about the funds. So, shortly again to Erfurt as a sample, there was this fortress in the city center which was renewed with this funded money, sample from Petersburg before and after. So there's a Korean guest contribution. I had the chance to be in the jury 2020 in Pyeongtaek Garden Show, and Lee Jo-eun won the first prize, and together with Ko Jung-hee, we implemented this Korean garden. It was really kind of a little diamond in the garden show, all these little pieces. And this was a very successful little Korean garden, like a Maru, a few very nice pieces. But back to the main topic, Mannheim, with an abandoned army base. You can imagine the problems: water, soil, and abandoned space. And that was it looked like. And these are typical topics for garden shows. It doesn't look like a garden show, but this area provides everything which makes it possible to gain this public money. So that was a result in Mannheim later. And even the abandoned building could be used perfectly in a garden show. Uga, it's the same, I don't have to explain much more. This is, again, the conclusion that public funding covers the majority of the money we needed, we need for a garden show, but the effort is really high. We nearly need 10 years to prepare a garden show, from the first application to the opening. Participation, I already talked about, is an important part to get the funded money. And sometimes we have to make planning changes, but it's okay because it's part of the process and doesn't hurt anyone. And you can follow easily local experts, for example, here. And finally, we made them believe, or they saw that it's their event and not only a garden show. So it was a kind of successful process. I wrote lack of public participation. It happens when you don't inform or don't participate, don't involve the public into your plans. Doggel is so CCTV observer. So we don't have CCTV in Germany. We have CCTV, but you are not allowed to watch public spaces. So then it's easy to destroy what we just built. And we spent, I think, 200,000 of costs for these damages because we didn't talk enough to the people. So we changed our plans. I think I guided 6,000 people on the construction site to explain again and again the good goals we have. Not only information, also really serious participation. So we worked with thousands of volunteers. Mannheim had 2,000 volunteers, Berlin had 1,000, Erfurt 1,000 volunteers, and that creates a completely new atmosphere. in the community. We work with schools, and we even had programs for the neighborhood to be part of the garden show with own projects. So serious involvement of the local community is really important to guarantee the acceptance or the long-term sustainability of a garden show. Even little spaces to show their programs. Education, I told you already, all garden shows have a special part education. It's Mannheim about climate change. It's important to include all age groups. But we still have the problem that we didn't solve the problem that the expectations are different. And you see here, infrastructure is very simple. People need restrooms and need restaurants when they arrive. So infrastructure is number one, but still plant exhibitions and theme gardens, design gardens on the next. And all these programmatic things in the lower ranks, so they don't really talk about these programmatic things, what we got the money for. Still, they want to see colorful flowers. Here's a little ranking: Chinese garden, Oriental garden, English garden, Japanese garden, Korean garden. So that's what the people expect. And we only have one solution for this problem. So I already showed this plan, that's sample Berlin again. And the only chance is to work in layers. We have a base layer which is funded, which is permanent, and which is resilient because we follow the scientists' opinion about what we should plant there. And then we have event layer. Event layer on top, not mixed on top. And that's not permanent. It's one season, and then it will be removed again. So the temporary features must be arranged on top of the permanent layer. There is a borderline between funded and not funded, and we can switch a little bit faster. When you have this funded career guaranteed and paid, then you are free to fulfill your event program. It's in English, so I mentioned that the event part, so the 40 million part, England. Green Garden, we had a good luck that it was already there, so we had to do this Polynese garden. That's Erfurt with the spring flowers, water gardens, Berlin. All these outdoor activities which are necessary even to get kids into the site. These attractive landmarks which are paid with tourism money. We have to create a landmark which is visible all over the landscape. Cable cars. All this event stuff. Event, special topic in garden shows. There's an arena for 5,000 guests, same in Mannheim. And again, this programmatic part. And a little bit disappointing is this chart when you ask the audience if they notice the environmentally friendly measures at the Buga, 43% say no. I really cannot imagine, and I'm kind of disappointed, but it's like that. Nevertheless, we reach the tourism goals. When the measure is tourism, then we reach all the goals. 65% say yes, they will come again to Berlin. It's not a big thing to come back to Berlin, but when you see the Mannheim numbers, the increase of overnight stays from 100 to 140,000, 71 persons will come again to Mannheim. Then it's successful anyway. Same like here, 95% are very satisfied. So everyone is satisfied, even when it's a hard way, and even when the visitor don't see this concept of two layers. They only see a garden show. Here you can nearly see at the end of a garden show like it's a melting process. We don't have that much events anymore, not much art shows or something else. And you nearly can concentrate now on the permanent layer. Same like here, it looks already like a permanent landscape, but it's still only made possible with the money we collected with the garden show. So garden shows don't emerge in the vacuum, only when these long-term goals are achieved, we can do a good garden show. Like this, I think that's a perfect picture. They don't even care on which layer they are playing. They're enjoying the landscape. And same like here, you see the renovated fortress on the right, and you see people having fun on this event layer. And so we took care about all layers, and finally we have this, what the people expected. Nice topping, they are happy. And then